Hey guys, Leaf Path for Now Art here, and I hope you're all having a super creative day. Today I'm here drawing some cats, and if you came to my channel independently of me showing it to you, you probably don't know that cats is my drawing quote-unquote specialty. It's the thing that I do the most. It's the thing that I would probably do commissions on if I could ever get commissions open. This in particular is a gift for a wonderful role player named Koi, and they adopted a character of mine, and they worked super hard on him, and he's so amazing. I love him. And so I made them this little chibi, and then a more finished artwork that will start later in the video. So this week you actually get 2 drawings for the price of 1. Hooray! I did something weird with the character design on this particular one because I did have a face claim, but it was, it's just a picture of like an actual cat. And when you're drawing from pictures of actual cats, you're usually tasked with the job of trying to make them look unique, which is not always easy since cats generally look a certain way. Like this was just a big tabby boy. Big fluffy tabby. Which is something that I need to work more on, is drawing fluffier cats, but it's difficult and it doesn't really, my style doesn't really allow for it right now. But I'm trying. It's actually been a little bit since I've just drawn cats like this, and you can tell that I'm a little rusty. I have to draw a couple of the legs a few times, and I'm still not quite happy with how the leg on the furthest left turned out. It's just, it kind of looks awkward, like it's broken. But other than that, I like it. It's also up just a hair too high, just a little bit. What to talk about? I've still been working on, oh, my printer just went off for some reason. I'm still working on the animatic, the Steven Universe storyboard thing. I'm getting further on with it, so if anybody's watching this and you're waiting on me to finish that because you're actually on the team and you're like, oh man, where's Leaf's scene? It's coming. I'm working on it. Steadily. That doesn't make any sense, but I'm just having a really hard time with this voiceover for some reason. Usually I can't have too much to talk about. Goodness. I'm usually such a chattermouth. I'm getting more confident with Vegas Pro, which is what I use to edit my videos because I got it super cheap. If you wait till the end, you'll see that I wish my printer wasn't being so loud. If you wait till the end, you'll see that the more finished illustration has got some little, I pan and zoom on it more than what I usually do. And I think it looks pretty good. It might be obnoxious, but I kind of like it. But yeah, with this cat, I really focused on his stripes because he is a tabby. And I generally draw all tabbies basically the same. But on this one, I worked really hard to make him stand out. And the part that I'm most proud of is he's got some brown right under his eye. Just right on the bottom lid. And it makes it look like he's got, like, evil bags, which is pretty hilarious. He's also got this big old mane that comes right up off of his, right up under his chin. And I really like that. I don't think I quite captured it right, but I really like the way it looks. And I like the way it looks in the photo more, but I think it turned out okay. So yeah, I'm getting better at Vegas Pro with all the panning and the zooming, and I really want to try it out on like an actual PMV. Even something super short. But, oh, and a lot of really random stuff happened during my recording, so, you know, there's a number one dad cup that's just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but whatever. But right now I just don't have time for a PMV because it takes so much longer than just doing one drawing for a video like this. So after I'm finished with my part for the Steven Universe episode, then you can expect to see more time-consuming things like that, because right now I'm spending about one day on drawing my drawing for my week's video, and then I'm spending one day editing, sometimes 2 days editing and doing the voiceover, and then every other day I'm working on the storyboard. So there's just not time for a PMV in there, but what I can say is, oh, and I guess there's work in there too. That makes things fun. What I can say is that every time I have the spare moment, I might, work on something. I have a few ideas that I really want to get to. But for right now, they're on the back burner. I also have a really big idea that I'm hesitant to get into. I kind of want to make a visual novel. I've had this story idea for a very long time, and I used to think I was a writer, so I wrote actually the whole thing down into a quote-unquote novel, and it didn't turn out very well, but I still really am fond of the story, and I don't know. I really want to bring it back, and I thought at first that I would draw it as a manga or as a comic or as a graphic novel, but the idea never appealed to me. And then recently visual novels have been increasing in popularity again, and it got me thinking that that might be a good way to show my story, because it really focuses on what I do, which is illustration. I don't think I could do a comic book, I don't think I could do a graphic novel, but I think I could do a visual novel. But see, the issue with the visual novel is there's so many other factors that go into it, like music and, God, coding, which is something that I'm not there for, but it's something that I'll think about. So maybe far, far in the future, you'll see something like that. And, yeah. This is the second drawing that I made, and I'm really happy with this drawing, especially the shading at the end. You'll see I did the shading exactly like I do shading usually, but for some reason it turned out really good this time. I have no idea what I did, which is a bummer, because now that means I can't do it again. But I just really like the way it looks. Something that I don't usually do is I put a big ol' highlight on the left-hand side, which looks pretty good for dramatic lighting, but it's not something that I can just do if... It's not just something that I can do, in any old drawing. It's got to be a very specific drawing. Had a little bit of trouble with his ears, getting the perspective right. They still kind of look a little funky, but I don't think you can tell with all the shading I put over them. So... which is definitely not something that you should strive for. A big drawing tip is to make sure that every part of the drawing looks as good as it can, even if it's going to get covered up. Because learning to cover up your mistakes like that only makes room for more mistakes. But sometimes also you have to just put things down. And I was a little short on time for this one, so I should have gotten up and walked around, taken a break, done something else, but I didn't. I just kept on working towards it. Something else that I had a lot of trouble with in this drawing was that leg, the further leftmost leg that I'm working on right now. I actually do take a break from that, and I go and I work on the rest of his body so I can do the leg last. That way, once I get the rest of him settled down, I can try and figure out where that leg would sit naturally. And I think it looks okay with what I ended up with, but I don't think that drawing a leg last is a good idea just because they're so important for how they sit, especially because his other leg is up. So that leg is it's taking almost the full brunt of his weight. So it's definitely something that I should have put in there almost first. But because I was just having so much trouble with it, so I just left it, and I think it turned out okay. I put it a little more out because in my original sketch I had it really in, so he was almost like tucking it up under himself. And I don't think in that particular position he could support his weight properly. So I think I pushed it out a little bit away from his body. Yeah, see, I'm doing it now. Just so that he could properly stand. It spreads out his weight a little bit. I'm saying that a lot. But yeah, I think it looks okay. I'm really happy with this drawing. And I know I say that a lot, but that's because I am happy with my drawings a lot. And I know they aren't perfect, but I like the way they look, and isn't that like the most important part? Another thing that I'm trying to do is freelancing, I think, which is another thing that's probably going to have to wait until I'm done helping out with the Steven Universe project. Because, again, it's something that's time consuming, and I am managing to do one drawing a week for YouTube, but freelancing may not allow me to. If I take a job for a company, they might not want me to make a video of it, or at the very least, they might not want me to post the video the week that I make the drawing, and I don't make my videos far enough out to spend an entire week making a drawing and still be able to, and schedule it for farther in the year and still be able to make a video for that week. So that's something that I'm going to have to work on, obviously, once I have more time on my hands, but it's something that I want to work on. Freelance especially is something that I've always wanted to get into, just because to me I think it's exciting to work with other people as far as art goes, and I enjoy talking to other people to bring their vision to life, and also making money at what you love is always just a great thing. And it wouldn't hurt if I could quit the job I have now to pursue art further, but obviously I have to be getting somewhere before I can do that, so we'll see. Personally, I'm really excited about the prospects. I'm going into the coloring now, and you'll see in a minute what I meant about his eye bags, because I think they look really cool personally. His little nose also I'm very fond of. An interesting thing is that I'm working harder and harder at making my cats look super realistic. Like, not super, super realistic. Obviously, they're still stylized. But making them look more realistic than what I used to. Like, there was a time when all of my drawings looked like the little chibi on the right. So to be able to make cats that are really, they just look more like cats than what I usually draw is really fun for me. But I still draw those big ol' anime eyebrows on them. So that definitely detracts from the realism that I'm working towards. But honestly, I kind of like the effect that it has. Because I feel like you have to... I feel like there's like a triangle, you know, like the cheap, fast quality triangle, but it's like realism, expression, aesthetics. So you can make something that's realistic or pretty, but you won't be able to have a whole lot of expression. Or you can make something that's realistic with expression, but it probably won't be all that pretty. Or you can make something that's pretty with a lot of expression, but it probably won't be all that realistic. See what I mean? So I choose to go for expression and aesthetics. Because even while I want my drawings to look more realistic, I know that if I do get my drawings to look super, super realistic, I won't be happy with the way they look anymore. So, food for thought. Here I'm doing the shading, and like I said, I'm super proud of the way it turned out, and I don't know if it's just because of the light, because the light looks really good compared to what I usually do. I mean, more like at the top of his body. But I guess at the bottom there just isn't that much light at all, so maybe that's still looking good too. Or if it's the way I blended it in. I don't think I did a very good job blending this time, but I was kind of rushing it. It's just because, I don't know, the blending of the shadows is not my favorite part of the artistic process. Even though it makes things look good, like, I'm still not sure if it's the direction I want to go with my art, so... I mean, soft shadows versus hard shadows is something I'm very interested in. I just haven't figured out yet how I'm going to blend out my shadows to make them soft without completely smudging them into oblivion. Because right now I just kind of blur until it looks good, honestly. And that's definitely not a viable artistic technique, and you should not do that. Don't do that. Seriously. But, yeah. We'll see. It's all about experimenting and experience. You have to experiment in order to find things that work, and sometimes you're going to find things that really just don't work. But even if they don't work, you get experience. So, God, I'm pretentious today. I've just been thinking a lot about art and how I'm moving on with it. I'm at a place right now where I don't know if I'm making a lot of progress, but I'm happy with what I'm making. So if you like the art that you're making, do you really need to improve? I mean, the fact that I like what I'm making could be why I'm not improving. Stuff is starting to feel formulaic now, where I do the same thing every time and I'm not experimenting as much. But, I don't know. I know it's a cycle, and at some point I will stop liking the work that I'm doing, which will cause me to want to strive for more out of my art, which will lead to improvement. But until then, it's just kind of frustrating to have to try and work with what I have right now. I'm pretty happy with how the background turned out. It's a really simple background, but I like it anyway. I always love doing night starry backgrounds. They're like my favorite. And honestly, my favorite part of this whole drawing is the shading on his face, because I think it looks really good. Which is saying something, because my facial shading is usually pretty weird, but I guess at this point I'm pretty familiar with how cats' faces look. God, I've used the word pretty way too many times. Anyway, I'm running out of time now. It's about to start showing off these drawings. Yeah, so I hope you all have a great day and a super creative day, and I'll see you all next week. Oh. Anyway, bye.